In America, there are 11 million people over the age of 60 with more than $500,000 saved for retirement. 11 million. That's more than the entire population of New York City. On paper, they're financially ready. They followed the rules, worked for decades, saved every month, built substantial nest eggs, and yet millions of them still can't pull the trigger. They wake up at 6 a.m., pour the same coffee, open the same portfolio app, and wonder if today's market swing means they can finally stop, or if they have to keep going just a little longer. They've done everything society told them to do, maxed out their 401ks, paid off their mortgages, built emergency funds, and still, they're scared. It's not the math anymore. The spreadsheets say they're ready. The financial advisors say they're ready. The retirement calculators say they're ready, but they don't feel ready. It's the noise inside, that quiet voice that whispers at 2 a.m. What if it's not enough? Today, I want to tell you about two brothers who perfectly illustrate this paradox. Tom, age 64, $900,000 saved. Still working full-time. Can't retire. Frank, age 62, $450,000 saved. Retired 2 years ago. Living his best life. Two brothers. Half the money. Double the freedom. Over the next half hour, I'm going to compare these two brothers in 7 categories. Because what you're about to discover isn't about math. It's about mindset. It's not about finance. It's about fear. It's not about retirement. It's about what it means to have enough. Let's begin. They're Category 1, risk perception. Tom and Frank grew up in the same house. Same parents. Same dinner table. Same financial education. Which is to say, almost none. Their father worked hard. Their mother budgeted every penny. But no one ever talked about enough. They only talked about safety. Tom took that lesson to heart. He sees danger everywhere, every night. 2 a.m., kitchen table. The house is silent. Margaret asleep upstairs. But Tom can't sleep. Laptop glowing in the dark. Monte Carlo simulations open again. What if inflation hits 5%? What if the market drops 40%? What if Social Security gets cut? What if we live to 95? What if Margaret needs long-term care? He's run these calculations 12 times. Every time the market sneezes, every time he reads a headline, every time fear whispers, every single one says he'll be fine. 84% success rate, 91% success rate, 88% success rate. The numbers change slightly, but the message is always the same. You're okay, but fine isn't good enough for Tom. He needs guaranteed. He needs perfect. He needs impossible. Because in Tom's mind, an 84% success rate means a 16% chance of catastrophic failure. And 16% feels like Russian roulette when it's your life. So he runs it again, and again, and again, looking for the one that hits 100%. It never does. Frank's approach? One calculation. One time, 3 years ago, he sat at his kitchen table with a pen and paper. Not a Monte Carlo simulator, not financial planning software, just a pen and paper. $450,000 times 4% equals $18,000 per year. Add Social Security, $30,000. Total $48,000 a year. We spent $42,000. That's a $6,000 cushion. Good enough. Done. He folded the paper, put it in a drawer, and never looked at it again. When his wife asked, "Are you sure we're ready?" he said, We'll never be completely sure, but we're sure enough. Tom asks, what if we're the unlucky 5%? Frank asks, what if we're the lucky 95%? Same math, opposite mindset. According to research from Vanguard, nearly half of retirees with sufficient savings delay retirement for at least 2 years due to catastrophic thinking. They don't calculate probability, they calculate possibility. If something can go wrong, their mind assumes it will. Tom's brain runs disaster drills every night. Market crash, medical emergency, inflation spike, Social Security collapse. Frank's brain runs gratitude loops every morning. He wakes up and thinks, I have enough money. I have my health. I have Margaret. I have time. One lives in what if. The other lives in so what. A 2022 Fidelity survey found that retirees who checked their portfolios daily reported 38% lower happiness than those who checked once a month. Tom checks 3 times a day. Frank checks once every few weeks. And yet, Frank's peace of mind compounds faster than any of Tom's mutual funds ever will. When Tom wakes up, he looks at numbers. When Frank wakes up, he looks at sunlight. Tom's brother called him last month. Tom, you've got double what I have. What are you waiting for? Tom's answer, I'm waiting to be sure. Frank's response, you'll never be sure. That's not how life works. The irony? The safer Tom tries to be, the more trapped he becomes. His spreadsheet has turned into his prison. Frank, meanwhile, is free, not because he has less fear, but because he stopped letting fear make his decisions. Reflection. Sometimes safety isn't peace. It's paralysis dressed in logic. Category 2, definition of enough. For Tom, enough is a moving target. 20 years ago, his goal was $500,000. If I can just hit $500K, I'll retire. He hit it at 58, then moved the goal to $750,000. $750K will give us real security. Hit that at 61, moved it to $1 million. $1 million is the magic number. Now he's at $900,000, and $1 million no longer feels like enough. Why? Because every time he gets close, he reads another headline. Financial experts say you need $2 million to retire comfortably. Study shows retirees are running out of money. Social Security will be insolvent by 2035. Each article moves his finish line. Each headline steals another year. His daughter asked him last Christmas, Dad, when are you going to retire? He said, maybe next year, once I hit $1 million. She looked at him and said, you told me that 5 years ago. He had no answer, because she was right. Frank set his number 25 years ago, $400,000 minimum. Anything above is bonus. At 60, he had $430,000. Close enough. At 62, he had $450,000. Done. He didn't wait for $500,000. Didn't wait for one more year. Didn't wait for the market to bounce higher. He simply said, it's enough. Psychologists call Tom's pattern hedonic adaptation. The more you have, the more you think you need. It's the same reason lottery winners often go broke. Why millionaires still say they need just a little more. Why billionaires still compete for more billions. A Princeton study found that beyond $90,000 a year, happiness doesn't increase with income. Security plateaus, joy flattens, but fear keeps climbing. Tom's father had this same disease. Started with a goal of $100,000. That's my number, he'd say. At 50, he had $120,000. Better make it $200,000 just to be safe. At 60, he had $240,000. $300,000 would be better. He died at 71 with $340,000 in the bank. Never spent it. Never enjoyed it. Never stopped working. Tom stood at his father's funeral and swore, "I won't make the same mistake." But here he is, age 64, $900,000, still chasing shadows. Frank learned the opposite lesson. Dad never had enough. He died waiting for enough. I refused to die the same way. Same father, same funeral, opposite conclusions. Tom's financial advisor once told him, "Tom, if $900,000 isn't enough, then $1 million won't be either, and $2 million won't be either." This isn't a math problem. It's a mindset problem. Tom switched advisors because when truth hurts, we often change the messenger instead of the message. He doesn't realize that every time he moves the finish line, he restarts the race. And races without a finish line never end. There's a Japanese concept called ikigai, your reason for being. Tom's ikigai used to be building wealth, but now wealth is building his prison. Frank's ikigai is simple. Spend time with people I love. Do things that matter. Before I run out of time, reflection. You can't reach enough if you keep defining it by fear. Category 3. Relationship with money. Tom and Frank's father was named Frank Sr. He worked night shifts at a steel mill for 40 years. Every paycheck, he saved 30%. Never bought a new car. Never took a vacation. Never spent on himself. His motto, save for a rainy day. The rainy day never came. When he died at 71, he had $340,000 in the bank. The week after the funeral, Tom and Frank went through his house. Everything was old. TV from 2004 still worked. Couch patched with duct tape. Shoes still in boxes, never worn. In his bedroom, they found a notebook. 12 years of monthly budgets. Every page the same $2,300 saved. On the last page, he had written, "When I reach $350,000, I'll take Mary to Italy. She's always wanted to see Rome." He reached it 3 months before he died. He never booked the trip. Mary passed away 2 years earlier. She never saw Rome. Tom closed the notebook and cried. "I don't want to be like Dad." Frank put a hand on his shoulder. "Me neither." But they defined not like Dad in opposite ways. For Tom, it meant saving even more, to never run out. For Frank, it meant living now, before time runs out. 3 months later, Frank retired. He called Tom. "I did it. I pulled the trigger." Tom said, "Congratulations. I'm happy for you." But inside, he thought, "That's reckless. He doesn't have enough." Tom worked another 2 years. Tom inherited fear. Frank inherited freedom. Today, Tom keeps that notebook in his desk drawer. Sometimes, late at night, he opens it, reads those 12 years of savings, sees his father's handwriting, $350,000, Italy, Mary, and whispers, "What if I'm doing the same thing?" Then fear whispers back, "But what if you're not? What if you run out? What if you end up broke? What if you become a burden to your kids?" 2 voices, pulling in opposite directions. Paralysis. Frank keeps a photo of their parents on his refrigerator. It's from 1985. His mother in a yellow dress. his father in his only suit, standing in front of their house, smiling. But Frank knows the truth behind that smile. His father was already worried about money, already saving for rainy days, already postponing joy. Every time Frank books a trip, or takes his grandkids to dinner, or buys something just because it makes him happy, he looks at that photo and says, "This one's for you, Dad. The trip you never took, the joy you never had, the life you postponed until it was too late." We inherit more than money. We inherit the stories our parents never finished, the fears they never conquered, the regrets they carried to their graves. The question is, will we write the same ending? Tom is writing his father's story. Different numbers, same fear, same postponement, same just a little more. Frank is writing a different story. Not perfect, not without worry, but different. There's a scene in the movie The Shawshank Redemption where Andy tells Red, "Get busy living or get busy dying." Tom is busy securing. Frank is busy living. One is building a fortress. One is building a life. Reflection. Money carries memory. It remembers what our parents feared, unless we teach it to serve what we love. Curry Category 4, Life Priorities. Let's look at an ordinary week. Tom's schedule. Monday to Friday work. Evenings check 401k balance, read market news, run new what-if scenarios. Weekends mow the lawn, answer emails, maybe see the grandkids if there's time. Frank's schedule. Monday golf with friends. Tuesday grandkids visit. Wednesday volunteer at the food bank. Thursday coffee with Margaret, his wife. Friday whatever he feels like. Saturday family barbecue. Sunday church and peace. Checking his balance? Once a month. Maybe? Last year, Tom's grandson Jake graduated high school. The ceremony was on a Wednesday afternoon. Tom's boss scheduled a client meeting. Big account. Important numbers. "We really need you there, Tom." Tom missed the graduation. That night, Margaret showed him pictures. Jake in his cap and gown, looking into the crowd, searching for someone who wasn't there. "Did you tell him you couldn't come?" she asked. Tom said, "I'll make it up to him. We'll go fishing this summer." They didn't go fishing because summer came and work got busy. And there was always next month, always next year. Frank was there, front row, filming everything. When it was over, Jake ran to him. "Thanks for coming, Uncle Frank. Wouldn't miss it for the world." Later that night, Frank posted photos on Facebook. Tom saw them, scrolled through dozens of pictures. Jake smiling, Frank's arm around his shoulders. 3 generations together. Tom felt terrible, but also thought, Frank can go. He's retired, still building our security. I'm doing this for the family. 3 months later, Tom's company announced layoffs. His division was being restructured. He kept his job for now, but suddenly that security felt less secure. Frank called. "How much security do you need, Tom? You have $900,000. You're 64. Your grandson is growing up without you. When will it be enough?" Tom said, "Just 1 more year. Once I hit 1 million." Frank said, "You said that at 750,000? You said that at 800,000. You're saying it now at $900,000. What makes you think 1 million will be different?" Tom went quiet because he knew Frank was right, but he didn't know how to stop. A study by AgeWave found that 78% of retirees say their biggest regret isn't financial. It's time they didn't spend with family, not money they didn't make, not investments they didn't buy, time they didn't spend. Wealth can't buy back Wednesdays. It can't buy back graduations. It can't buy back first steps. It can't buy back conversations. And time is the only currency you can't earn back. Tom is building wealth. Frank is building memories. One is valuable. One is priceless. There's a scene in the movie Click with Adam Sandler. He gets a remote control that can fast forward through life. He uses it to skip the boring parts, skip the fights, skip the work stress, skip to the promotions. Then he realizes he's fast-forwarded through his entire life. His kids are grown. His wife is a stranger. His parents are gone. And he can't rewind. That's what Tom is doing. Not with a remote control. With a spreadsheet. Just one more year is his fast-forward button. And he doesn't realize he's fast-forwarding through the only life he gets. Retirement isn't an end. It's a decision to stop trading time for more time. It's not escaping work. It's escaping waiting. Reflection. If you delay living for certainty, you'll die waiting for permission. Ton, Sikon Tuanders, Category 5, Financial Philosophy, 2130 sa 2500, 850 words. At the heart of it all, Tom and Frank believe different things about what money is for. Tom believes money is safety. Every dollar is armor. Every expense a risk. He says, money protects us from disaster. It keeps us safe from the unknown. Frank believes money is a tool. Every dollar is potential. Every expense is an experience. He says, money is meant to be used, not hoarded, not worshipped, used. Tom's $900,000 sits mostly untouched. Index funds, bonds, savings accounts, all for someday. Someday when the market is perfect. Someday when he feels secure. Someday when something. Frank's $450,000. $300,000 in funds. $100,000 in bonds. $50,000 for living. That $50,000 bought an RV trip across America, a kitchen renovation, a fishing boat, and 2 years of stories. Tom calls it reckless. You spent $50,000? That could be $100,000 in 15 years with compound interest. Frank smiles. In 15 years, I'll be 77. Too old for RV trips, too tired for fishing, and Jake will have kids of his own. I'm not saving for it then. I'm buying now. Economists call it the time value of money. $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow because of inflation and opportunity cost. Frank redefines it. An experience today is worth more than a memory never made. Last summer, Frank and his wife took that RV trip. 6 weeks, coast to coast. They saw the Grand Canyon at sunset. They ate lobster rolls in Maine. They danced in a honky-tonk in Nashville. They watched the sunrise over the Pacific. It cost $12,000. Tom said, "That's your emergency fund." Frank said, "That was my life." When they got back, Frank made a photo album. 200 pictures. Every page a memory. He showed it to Tom. "This is what I bought with $12,000. What did your emergency fund buy you?" Tom had no answer. Because his emergency fund bought him worry. It bought him midnight calculations. It bought him what-ifs. Tom's portfolio is compounding. Frank's joy is multiplying. Both are forms of wealth. Only one pays dividends you can't measure. There's a story about 2 monks. They take a vow of poverty. own nothing, possess nothing. One monk is miserable. I have nothing, he thinks. The other monk is joyful. I need nothing, he thinks. Same vow, different mindset. Tom has $900,000 and feels poor. Frank has $450,000 and feels rich. Because wealth isn't what you have. It's how you feel about what you have. Neither man is wrong. Tom isn't stupid. Frank isn't reckless. They're just optimizing for different things. Tom is optimizing for maximum security. Frank is optimizing for maximum living. But here's the truth. Security is important, but security without joy is just survival. And we weren't put on this earth to survive. We were put here to live. Reflection. Wealth without wonder is just numbers. Freedom without purpose is just noise. Category 6. Health and longevity. There's something nobody talks about in retirement planning. Health. Not healthcare costs. Everyone talks about those. I'm talking about actual health. The ability to do the things you've been saving for. Tom is 64. Overall, he's healthy. But last year, he developed high blood pressure. His doctor said, stress. He's also gained 30 pounds. His knees hurt. He gets winded going upstairs. His doctor said, Tom, you need to slow down. Take it easy. Enjoy life. Tom said, I will. Once I retire. Frank is 62. He hikes 3 times a week, plays golf twice a week, does yoga with Margaret on Sundays. He's in the best shape of his life, not because he has more time, because he's using his time differently. Here's the cruel math of aging. At 65, you might be healthy enough for adventure travel. At 75, you might need a cane. At 85, you might need a wheelchair. The retirement industry calls them go-go years, 65-75. Slow-go years, 75-85. No-go years, 85. Tom is spending his go-go years at a desk. Frank is spending his go-go years at the Grand Canyon. There's a line from the movie The Bucket List. You can't take it with you, but you can take yourself wherever you want to go. Tom is saving his money for later, but later, he might not have the health to enjoy it. Frank's neighbor Bill just turned 80. Frank sees him every morning, sitting on his porch, watching the world. Can't travel anymore, can't hike, can barely walk. Bill told Frank, I have $600,000 in the bank. Know what I'd trade it for? My 65-year-old body? I'd give every penny to climb a mountain one more time. Frank thinks about that. He thinks about it when he's hiking, when he's fishing, when he's playing with his grandkids. Tom doesn't think about it, because Tom thinks he has time. But time and health aren't guaranteed to align. Reflection. Money buys options, but health determines which options you can actually choose. Category 7. Marriage and partnership. Tom and Margaret have been married for 38 years. They still love each other, but something has changed. Tom is always working, always worried, always calculating. Margaret asks, when are we going to travel? Tom says, soon, once I retire. When will that be? Maybe next year. She's heard next year for 5 years. Last month, Margaret found a brochure for a European cruise. Left it on the kitchen table. Tom saw it, said nothing. She tried again 2 weeks later. Tom, can we talk about retirement? He said, not now. I'm checking the portfolio. She walked away. Frank and his Margaret have been married for 36 years. They retired together 2 years ago. They have coffee every morning. Long conversations about nothing and everything. They travel. They cook together. They take walks. Last month, they celebrated their anniversary in San Francisco, walked across the Golden Gate Bridge, held hands the whole way. Frank's Margaret said, "This is what I imagined retirement would be." Tom's Margaret doesn't know what to imagine anymore. Marriage isn't just about staying together. It's about living together. Tom and Margaret share a house. Frank and Margaret share a life. There's a concept in psychology called emotional banking. Every positive interaction is a deposit. Every negative interaction is a withdrawal. Tom hasn't made a deposit in months. Every conversation is about money. Every evening is spent on the laptop. Every weekend is, "I'm too busy." Frank makes deposits every day. Morning coffee, afternoon walks, evening conversations. Tom's marriage is running on fumes. Frank's marriage is fully funded. Not with money, with time, with presence, with attention, reflection. You can retire from work, but you can't retire from marriage. The question is, will you have a marriage worth retiring into? The ending. Today, Tom is 64, $900,000 saved. Still working. Frank is 62, for $20,000 now. Still retired. Still living. Last month, the market dipped. Tom lost $18,000. Frank lost $33,000. Tom stayed up 3 nights worrying. Frank went fishing. Tom's money is growing. Frank's life is growing. Last week, Tom's wife asked, "If you died tomorrow, would you be happy with the life you lived?" He couldn't answer. Frank's wife asked the same question. He smiled. "Yeah, I really would." 2 brothers, 2 Margarets, 2 different answers. Tom is rich in money. Frank is rich in life. Tom is saving for retirement. Frank is living in it. Tom is waiting for enough. Frank decided $450,000 was enough. And statistically, both will be fine. The Monte Carlo simulations say so. The financial planners say so. The data says so. But only one will have lived. In a world obsessed with more, maybe enough is the most radical word of all. So, which brother are you? The one with more money but less life? Or the one with less money but more freedom? If you had to choose between $900,000 and fear or $450,000 and freedom, which would you pick? Comment below. I'm Tom, if you're still waiting for enough. I'm Frank, if you've decided to live now. And if this story hit you in the chest, if it made you rethink your own definitions of enough, hit subscribe. Share it with someone who's still waiting, because next week, we'll talk about the 4 questions every retiree must answer before they finally pull the trigger. The 4 questions that separate the Toms from the Franks. The 4 questions that determine whether you'll live in freedom or fear. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for listening. And if this story changed how you see your life, share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because the world has enough people chasing more. What it needs is more people who've found enough. End.